then love will tear us apart again. Love will tear us apart.
I've been wanting to make this video for a long time, and finally I got the time to actually sit down, formulate some thoughts, and go ahead with this. And this subject, I think this subject has been covered before, but I just want to, bring it home and have it relate to worldly people out there, or people that are not of the Jehovah Witness community, and to somewhat understand the Jehovah Witness mindset as to their persecution complex. This is pretty much a response video to a couple of comments I had. I don't get any trolls really. I may get maybe, I could count in one hand the amount of Jehovah Witnesses leaving comments on my videos about their perspective, and usually it's they just blast the comment section with a whole bunch of Bible verses and are really not explaining their point of view from a human perspective. It's always through the board perspective. But I'm not talking about those people at all. I'm just talking about just the regular commenters that leave a note or two, and I read them all, and they're all valuable to me. Even the trolls or the Jehovah Witnesses that are brave enough to leave a comment stating their position. At least it kind of shows everyone else reading the comments, how controlling the organizations are. So I let them spew everything that they have on the channel. So people out there that are not familiar can see from the horse's mouth how manipulative the organization are through the use of their people. But anyway, these two comments, and like I said, I welcome all comments. They're all valuable. They all teach you something, whether they be negative or positive or encouraging. Most of the time, I would say a good 90% of the comments are positive and encouraging, and a little boost in the confidence there to keep going. And that's great. That's wonderful. And I'm all for it. And I leave a few comments here and there to some of the channels that I like too, but not often. So, and I'm not going to name names or anything like that. That's not important. What's important is just the message of these comments, and the sort of, I don't know, I would say the mindset or the theme of these two comments that sort of hit home with me, but then again, it hits home with everyone else. So 6 months ago, this one person, and please feel free to leave comments and everything. It's fine. We could talk this out and bring this to the forefront and address all these issues, because this, I think, in my opinion, for worldly people or people of the Jehovah Witness faith, and also Jehovah Witnesses just getting out, this addresses everyone. So one of them 6 months ago was, "I am sorry, but this makes me angry. Your kids are going to end up fucked up like my brother and sister and I. There is no playing the game. You are being passive." So that was one comment, and I didn't take it negatively either. I took it as constructive criticism. So the person, if you recognize your comment and everything, you're fine. And the other comment recently, about a month ago, reads, "What are you going to do if some pedo touches your kid? Are you really willing to wait for that shit to happen? Looks like JWs and your wife are running your house. Why are you not pulling your family out of that cult knowing what you know? Please, sir, don't be complicit. It only takes one time to fuck up your family children for life. I'd rather get out now and deal with the dynamic of what JWs think later for the safety of my children. They come first, even over what your wife thinks. And that was the second comment. Constructive criticism. And like I said again, I welcome it. So both those comments have something in common, and it's the theme of I'm being too complacent. I'm not doing anything fast enough to get my family pulled away from this high control group. That is pretty much the bottom line that when you boil it down to its raw elements, that's what it's saying. And the overall answer to both those statements is pretty much a response to the last commenter there. Why are you not pulling your family out of the cult knowing what you know? Well, the reason why I'm not pulling out my family knowing what I know is because of what I know. I know if I pull my family heavy-handedly, they are going to severely go into the persecution complex instantly. They are expecting that behavior from me. Why would I react in a way that they expect when I know that is textbook procedure or textbook example of what they expect from someone like myself? Someone that is not of their faith or religion, an outsider. According to them, I'm pretty much almost a savage, and that's the reaction they should expect from me is to react by emotions instantly, negatively towards whatever, the situation may be. Sure, I would love to drag them away from the organization and take them through the prairies like, a knight in shining armor, but that is not going to be fruitful. And there are thousands of examples of that, and hundreds of them are documented on YouTube and podcast from ex-Jehovah Witnesses who, under their own accord, so-called wake up from the indoctrination, and with this new zeal of trying to save their own families from, the control of the organization, they start to pull and talk too much or be a little bit too quick in tell them the truth about the truth and all that. And what happens is the persecution complex comes up, and that family member that just woke up is shunned, disfellowship, and taken away and isolated from the rest of the family. There are many examples of that from testimonies from ex-JW members who leave the organization. They talk to their family members about what they found out. And as a matter of fact, in my own family, that has just happened to a close family relative. And that has nuclear meltdown, stage 1 at this point. So I won't get into that right now, but or possibly ever. But that is what I know about the organization and what will happen. So why would I be this tough guy, reacting under emotions and not think about my actions and have that same fate be put upon me because of, like I said, emotions or anger, or knowing that if my children are indoctrinated into this religion, that they're going to experience all the negative effects of all the stories that we all saw and hear here on YouTube and other social media. Why would I subject my children to that anguish? Because it will be guaranteed that they will experience that, because if I do push too hard, if I do become heavy-handed and become the typical worldly person, and how that worldly person will react, you can rest assured that divorce papers are going to be served. Me being a male, the kids are more than likely going to wind up with my wife, And then I have no control as to how they are going to be brought up. My wife, after she gets divorced, if thinking theoretically here, they marry pretty quick. They're back on the market, the JW marriage market, and they're looking for another husband. And they marry quick. I can tell you that right now. And would I much rather have another man raise my children that is a full-fledged JW member along with my wife, and then those kids will not have a chance because they will have the grandparents, a husband that's in it, and also a wife, whereas in the relationship that we have now, me being not of the faith, I'm quote-unquote the safety line to the real world, as opposed as to, full indoctrination of the family towards the kids. With me, the JW tactics are pretty much nullified or declawed. As a matter of fact, in about a month or two, we're going to have a birthday coming up. And the kids are especially excited because they do get gifts from me. They will get a card. And even the ones that are not having that particular birthday, they're a little bit later in the year, they are involved because I ask them to give me hints of what gift I should buy this particular kid of mine for his or her birthday. That's just one example of what I can do, having my family intact, fighting from the inside rather fighting from the outside. Big difference. The field of battle is under my control. I get to pick where to fight. And if I come across heavy-handedly and it goes, the way of how the JWs will think or predict I will react, then I'm at a disadvantage if I play into their trap. And that's what it is. It's a trap. And I'm going to use a little snapshot, a little image here of Jehovah Witness Watchtower production of what they expect from worldly people and how they react to opposition to their religion. And the reaction of those two commenters of me possibly being heavy-handed and what that will amount to. There's many other videos that they portray worldly people as, just nasty. But this one here hits at home with me. And yes, it did make me angry. It did make me think negatively. But if you sit back, recognize it for what it is, propaganda, it diffuses that particular message that they trying to come across. And that message is mainly meant for their rank and file that are fully indoctrinated, not to people on the outside. So here's a clip that I'm referring to.
We are introduced to a young boy named Levi, whose father is not one of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Just come with me this one time, man.
You know we can't do that. We've already decided.
Explain to me why.
I'll show you why.
From this?
Yes.
No, stop. I'm done. I'm done with your religion. I'm done with this.
Ian.
In this emotional and tense dramatization, witnesses are taught to think of non-believing spouses as heartless, intolerant monsters who are not open to reason and susceptible to abandoning their children. I regularly hear from husbands and wives who have been impacted by the religion through their spouse getting roped in, and I can only imagine the anger and frustration with which such ones will be greeting this portrayal. Though they may be framed as heartless and inflexible, the truth is that it is Watchtower and its leaders who more closely fit that description, especially where family cohesion is concerned. It is, after all, the governing body who insists on families being broken up through shunning if their teachings are ever questioned. But never mind all that for now. we must apparently suspend our disbelief and follow the young boy in his story of abandonment and betrayal by a fickle, selfish, unbelieving father.
Asks, how did Hezekiah... This is your paragraph. You ready? Let's hear from Marley, please.
Hezekiah did something foolish and Jehovah didn't like it.
Thank you. Good comment. Any further comments?
Levi, the character featured here, is plagued by the spectacle of JW parents around him who are involved in brainwashing their children, unlike his dad, who selfishly refuses to indoctrinate him with JW beliefs. Fortunately for Levi, his desperation for a JW role model is not going unnoticed.
Sister Rapp, please.
Did you get to talk to Levi?
No. But, I did talk to his mom. She said that the divorce has been really difficult.
Divorces are generally difficult. There are those who say that going through a divorce is one of the most stressful things that can happen to you in life. But of course, none of this is the fault of Watchtower for demanding that Levi's mother put a strain on her marriage by being in a certain place by a certain time every week without fail. The blame must rest squarely with a father whose only mistake was to marry someone whose mind would later no longer be her own.
I'm really glad you like Chinese food, Levi.
You kidding me? I used to eat Chinese food all the time with
the monster who betrayed him and his mom by refusing to join their cult. Jehovah's Witnesses have each other on condition that nobody ends up doubting their beliefs. The moment Levi puts two and two together and realizes the true nature of his predicament, he can expect to be dropped from Jehovah's family like a ton of bricks.
I hope Lloyd Evans doesn't give me a copyright strike on my video because I used some of his footage to show the effects of a worldly person depicted by the Watchtower organization. I thought his commentary in between the video there was right on point as to how the Watchtower sees worldly people react to certain situations. And what I'm saying here is do the opposite. Use their propaganda against them. Do the opposite of what they say. Turn the other cheek. It's highly frustrating. And if you really think about it, that's what the Watchtower does to, the world in itself. They are, they use the system to get their way. And that is the approach that I'm taking. I'm using their culture against them. It's not as exciting or satisfying as, having a moment of weakness there and blowing up on your family members because they are frustrating you with their JWism, their dogma, justifying their behavior. You just got to sit back and realize it's really not their fault. They were manipulated from the get-go, from birth. So I could just... Basically, my response and the point that I'm trying to make is you have to fight smart. You have to pick your own battles. You have to know the enemy. And let me make this clear. The people are not my enemy. I love everyone. Everyone's my brother. It's the leadership that I have problems with. And that's pretty much the root of the problems of the Jehovah Witness organization is the leadership, the people on top. And that's where my fight is with. So, yes, I'm using their dogma, their procedures against them. And so far, I'm getting pretty good results with that, at least with the kids. I wouldn't say I've given up on my wife. It's just I don't have the skill set or the tools to have her wake up. But you know what? the organization themselves, they're doing a really good job waking people up without my input. So I could just sit back and watch it happen. I mean, pretty soon she'll see that the house of cards are falling. I mean, we already have one Kingdom Hall close by here closing up. The lawsuits and the money problems, the financial problems of the organization is pretty evident. So it's just a matter of time where my wife is going to pretty much discover this on her own, because I'm doing my research out in the open, and I'm doing other tactics as well to sort of, you know, she's just going to experience that particular end of it. When it comes to my kids, this ordeal that I'm going through right now with the organization and trying not to have my kids fall into that trap of theirs, it's making me into a better father. Bottom line, if there's anything that is positive about this whole experience, it's making me a better dad. I spend a hell of a lot more time with them. I make effort to spend that time with them. I'm more mindful of their feelings. I make them make their own decisions. It's just positive all the way around. And I'm trying to make them sort of think critically as well. And one of them for sure is a critical thinker. But, and they're coming across that age where they're asking a lot of questions now. And I'm just arming myself with the knowledge of how the organization is run and how their indoctrination takes place to sort of counteract or give my take on what answers I want them to hear. Because basically it's the parents that pretty much form their kids for adulthood or whatever. I want them to be critical thinkers. If and like I said, this experience is making me into a better father. I've noticed, and this is no slam on otherworldly parents out there or anything like that, but a lot of these XJW testimonies, there was a high sort of, you know, statistically, in my opinion, there was a high number of parents out there where they're actually divided, where one's a Jehovah Witness and the other one is worldly. And the one thing that really has the one thing that stood out was the one that wasn't the Jehovah Witness really didn't get involved with the religious aspect of upbringing their children. Maybe not in all cases, but in some of the ones that I've heard their, you know, testimonies, that was the case. You know, they didn't know about the organization. They just chalked it up as another Christian denomination, even as kooky as it may sound as far as their culture, but they just chalk it up at that and they left it at that, where in my case, and in this age of information, I have the tools and the information I need to sort of know what the Jehovah Witness is all about and what tactics that they use to indoctrinate people and kids, and to use that to my advantage. And like I was saying about these other ex-Jehovah Witnesses who had a mixed match of parents, that the non-believing partner really didn't get involved with the kids that much as far as that aspect. That's the gist of what I got, where with that bit of information possibly, I'm doing the opposite. I'm all about the kids. I'm around them all the time. I talk to them all the time. They come to me for advice all the time. We have a good line of communication so far, and that's how I'm going to keep it. And this is just a point that I wanted to come across. I hope it's valuable to some people out there, especially the worldly parents out there that listen to my little YouTube page. And like I said, I welcome all comments because they all teach me something, no matter how negative it may be. Even you Jehovah Witnesses out there, I love you all. Okay, bye-bye.